everyone, this is Jenny. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to go over a few things before I do a quick card video to kind of tell you what's been going on around here during this quarantine, and to share a little bit of my thoughts and what we've got going on. Obviously, everybody's trying to cope with it in their own way, and I am either super motivated to craft like 24 hours a day, or I can't even be bothered to get out of the bed, which I know everybody is coping in their own way. And so, but I have been trying to put together a box of a bunch of cards for different things. I did one for my mother-in-law to take to a nursing home that she visits for a church, and another one for the same kind of thing, which I think is really important, because even though a lot of us are FaceTiming and Zooming and doing all kinds of things like that, you know, different generations, older generations aren't as techie, so they may not, you know, they may miss out on that. And to me, there is nothing better than a card that comes in the mail. So I think that's super important now. I think anybody that does make cards, this is, you know, to me, this is what I can do to help. So, so I've been putting together some things, and then I'm going to do a card that I'm going to try to finish. And I've been trying to do things in a sort of assembly line in a group that I can send all together. So I thought I'd show you what I did. First, I did I used this set from Dear Lizzie, and these are the little sticker, like, sentiments. And I just used some of the papers from here. And I also used a set of the tags that came with it. No, sorry, not with it, but in their separate package. It's the same collection, and they were these like tags, and there were 4 of them. And so what I just did was took the tags, and I took some background paper or other little things, and popped them on a card base. And some of them I added like some Nuvo drops. That's another one that was pretty much, that's the card, you know, paper. That's the tag that had all this stuff on it. I added some Nuvo drops, and that's one of the sentiments. There's another one, same kind of idea. And then this one was the same thing. I did add those little cross stitches there. So those were super fast and super easy, and something that I think would be super easy to put together. I even got the kids involved, very briefly. But, so that's one set of kind of an idea that I had of putting cards together. The other one is using this Altenew set, Be Strong, and it's from several years ago. It's got these great sentiments that say, you're so much stronger than you think. Remind yourself that it's okay not to be perfect. You never know who you're inspiring. Be brave. So what I've been doing is, that's what they look like. Stamping a bunch of stuff, taking it upstairs, and hanging out with the family to watch Netflix and color. So then when I get everything together and cut it all out, I'll put it together. So these were the cards that I made with that. That one, I love this just because it's a little bit different. That's the little wheelbarrow. And I did add some, you know, some shimmer pen, and I did all the sentiments heat embossed white on black. I think these are really cool. These are sort of water droplet. Not sequins, but you know. And that's the last one there. So those are, so that's 8 cards. If you haven't seen the, if you haven't seen this like sort of request and all of the info about the scrapbook.com drive, it's called Cards for Kindness, and they are trying to get as many as they can. And I don't think it's limited to the pandemic. It's just this, you know, obviously this is perfect timing. And they have several different places they send them out to. So you need to get a box of 10, and they have a list of things that you can, that they're looking for, you know, that aren't necessarily as seasonal, but they're absolutely fantastic causes. Like there's a breast cancer one, there's some for children, there's some for people that are abroad doing working for the military, and they use the cards to send back to their family. I think it's a great idea. So while I am also trying to do some things locally, I'm working on that. And this is the last piece for that box I'm putting together. This is from Honeybee, and I just bought these last week, and they were part of, I guess, their sort of retirement sale, and they were amazing deal. I got the matching die cuts that come with that, and then I got another stamp that is super cute. It's just it says that big word sunshine in script, and then in block it says sometimes inspiration comes from a single ray of. And I thought that'd be great to just put on it like a watercolor background or something simple and quick. So I'm going to use that one too. But these were adorable because I just thought the sentiments were perfect, and they have so many different ways you can, you know, match them up. You're my sunshine, sending showers of happiness or blessings or love. But the one I'm probably going to use is the we will weather this storm together. And so what I did was I stamped them all out onto 2 different types of paper, watercolor paper and a bristle smooth paper. And I used my traditional watercolors, and then I also used some Zig Clean Color Real Brush Pens. And I'll show you what I did. So this is what I did while we're watching, you know, Tiger King and or YouTube videos. So these are 2 of the traditional watercolors, and you can see the difference in color. These are a lot more muted. These are a lot more vibrant. These are the Clean Color Real Brush Pens, and neither one of them necessarily was faster than the other. It's just a matter of taste and convenience, and I'm more comfortable with the regular watercolors, but I love the vibrancy of these 2, so that's what I'm going to be using today to make a bunch of cards. And now that I have all these together, I'm going to go through and do backgrounds and put them on here and do the sentiments. These are the little girls that are part of the other part, which I think will be better for fall, but I thought they were super cute. So these 2 were traditional watercolors, and that one was the Clean Color brush pen. And there's a little kitty cat. And it's it'll be good for fall. It's got the, like, well, I mean, you could still use the same weather together, but the leaves and stuff I think are better, you know, fitted for fall. So I'm going to save those. And what I thought I would do today is kind of go through real quick, coloring 2 more, since I have so many printed out. And I'm going to color the same little girls with the umbrellas. And I'm going to color them using some Distress inks. And then I'm going to color them using my traditional watercolors real quick and cut out one of each. And then I'll do the card bases for them. So I'm hoping to kind of get those done, dry, and then while I'm doing that, I'm going to do some simple ink blending on the back, or maybe just even like just a tiny little, you know, sort of place for her to sit. Nothing really complicated. I may do some stenciling of clouds or something, but I just want a little something for it to sort of, her to have a little grounding spot on the, I think this one might be my favorite, that little blue, because I just love that little dog. He's so cute. I may go back, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I may go back with my white gel pen and add like some stripes or dots or polka dots or something to their clothes and umbrellas. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to use. These are a set of the Prima, like I need another set of watercolors, but these are the Prima complexion set. And I use those, for, ooh, I don't know if that's where that goes. Anyway, I used those for some of the skin tones on this, and they worked really well. And they're nice watercolors. I don't have any of the Prima ones before, so more than that, I just love this set. The little things, it's just, they're like candy. And the names are so cute. I mean, peach cobbler, lemonade, coconut, makes me hungry. So that's what I'm going to use, and then I've got my sort of standard Winsor Newton palette that I use for things that I use if I'm going to move around the house. So I'm going to get started doing that, and I'm not real comfortable with using the Distress inks, but I wanted to get something even softer than some of these colors, so I thought that would be a good place to start. So I've got my Waffle Flower Media Matte, and I'm going to use little wells like they're designed to be used and color these little girls, and we will see how it comes out. So, got my water. I'm put here. I've got a little mixing well, but I don't really need that for this since they have those on here. And we will get started. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and get started and just rub some of that little Distress ink, squish them into the little ink wells. As you can see, unfortunately, my my Media Matte got stained with some very intense pigment inks that I did not clean off well, so I'm just going to use those for the pink so I can see what's in the rest of them. I am going to start with the little doggy here, and I'm going to use Scattered Straw, and I'm going to use a combination of Antique Linen and Tattered Rose, and I believe some spun sugar for the girl's face and legs and everything. I don't, like I said, I'm not really comfortable using the Distress inks like this. I've only used them sort of in general, not for anything that's, you know, a little bit more detailed. And this is by no means a really detailed watercolor or realistic or anything like that. It's just a little bit of shading after I put down some color. So, and it's a tiny image, as you can see. I am using Canson cold press, 140 pound, and because it's got a pretty good tooth on it, I used my MISTI to make sure I got a really good impression. And you can see some of the places where I pushed down too hard, like around her coat or shoe, and it makes it look like it bleeds, but it's actually just part of the ink where I just used too much of a heavy hand, but that's just me. That is Wilted Violet I used on her little coat, and Cracked Pistachio for the umbrella. I love coloring umbrellas. I think it's so much fun. And I used VersaFine Clair Onyx, I believe it's Onyx, no, Nocturne ink. And I love that ink. It's my new favorite. It's great for just about everything. And it's really crisp and fine, like a VersaFine, you know, you get, but it's also waterproof. And I did make sure I let it dry for a good bit and then hit it with my heat tool to make sure it was completely dry because I didn't want to have any bleeding or anything. That is Black Soot I'm going to use for the little pug's face and for her boots. This little pug got a little bit darker than some of the other ones that I used lighter colors on, which I kind of liked better, but anyway. So as you can see, I'm not getting really complicated or complex with any of the shading or coloring. I'm just going to add some shadow around some of the edges and like underneath buttons and the creases and corners and things. And I am using a number 8 round brush. It's probably my favorite brush. I think I've probably had for about 25 years, and I use it so often that it's worn off the paint and finish, and it's just the wood around the part where I hold my hand. And it's got the good thing about it, it's got a really fine point on it. And I haven't, that's one of the things I'm pretty picky about. I haven't destroyed the little point on it, because if you keep them, you know, upright and take care of your brushes, then you can use, you know, a bigger brush with a fine point on it for detail work instead of changing brushes all the time. And that is great when you're traveling or, you know, moving around. So, or lazy. So that is what I use for the majority of this. And then I've got also a number 6 round and a number 1 that I use for the tiny things, like I believe that's it there. So that's some little spun sugar and picked raspberry for her cheeks. And I'm going to use picked raspberry for the puppy's umbrella. I think I go back actually on this or maybe the other one or both of them and add some white polka dots onto the scarves or umbrella. And I
I thought it turned out cute, but it's not the one I end up using in the end. Neither of these images are the ones I end up using in the end, but I thought I wanted to show you the coloring anyway and let you see how I do it. I think I'm more comfortable with traditional watercolors because I just sort of use the palette and the colors that are next to it and just really mix things in each of the wells and into the palette mixer. And I think I get kind of hung up on using zig markers or even like these distress inks. I get really hung up on trying to make sure things are in the same shade and tone, kind of like you would with Copic markers, and I don't really end up exploring using too many different colors that wouldn't be in that same family of shades, if that makes sense. And that's just something I need to practice on, but I think I just get, the way I learned to do Copics was to, use them in, the same, E11, E13, E15, and then go from there and sort of just keep those in the same family. And when I'm using traditional watercolors, I'll go in and mix, different things into it, like using, purple for shadows and different things that I wouldn't do necessarily with Copics. So anyway, I've got a combination of, I believe it's frayed burlap, vintage photo, and walnut stain for her hair. And I am not good at doing hair, and this is this tiny image, so I'm not real worried about it. I think those are the colors. I'll have them listed below. So anyway, that's the way she turned out. And now I'm going to use my traditional watercolors and the little set from Prima that I showed you, that's the complexion set for her hair, I believe, and her skin tones. I was really surprised at the quality of the Primas. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be, but I just hadn't had any of those paints before, and so I was really, really impressed with them. I thought they were really good, and I'm a sucker for packaging, so obviously I love the little box. I'm trying to show it so you can see the colors, but it's just too much to keep on the screen at the same time, so I end up moving it off. The other good thing about it is I really like their sort of sample cards, so you can see what the colors look like, especially faded out, because they are a little bit more intense, and you get a really wide range of it. So that's great to have right there on hand. I mean, I have that with other ones, but that's kind of nice that it just fits right into the little palette like that too. I kind of feel like this one got a little bit muddy, and I didn't. I ended up having to kind of go back and really redo that. I got carried away on her cheeks there. So it's not as, I didn't like it as much as the first one, even though I'm more comfortable using these paints. This is a set by Winsor Newton. I believe I got it off of Amazon, and it's really good for, it's got a lot of color variation. It comes with 2 or 3 of the pans that are the ones that you would use the most, which is really convenient. And you can move them around as you want to get them in the order that you'd like to have them in. And it's really the set I use, like if I'm doing something quick, or if I'm going to pick it up, like I said, and maybe move upstairs, or if like for traveling or something. It's got a place to put brushes, and then it's got 2 sets of the wells on either side. The small one, like, this side, or smaller, and then a larger one that's deeper on the other side. And I have a big, huge palette of Daniel Smith, which is like candy to me, but it's pretty large, and it's what I just kind of just keep on my desk, so I don't really take it and use it if I'm going to not be, in the same place for a while. But those are my favorites. I mean, they're just amazing. I think I got a little bit of paint there. You can see at the top of the little pug's face, and it ends up kind of bleeding in or something. I don't know. It made a little spot that kind of frustrated me. So you saw that I just kind of wiped off her face a little bit and kind of just, tried to rework a little bit of that. Got a little bit too pinky. But I'm going to use this pink for the coat, and you'll see how that comes out. I am going to let you listen to just a little bit of music because I'm basically going to do the same thing I did with the other painting. And I will be back when we start to put the card together. Okay, I'm almost finished with this little girl. I do like the way the shading turned out, but I do feel like her face got a little bit muddy and she looks a little blue. But, you know, she's going to be in the rainstorm, so maybe that's it. Okay, I'm almost done with this. Then I'm going to dry that with my heat tool to make sure it's really dry, and make sure I dry the back so it doesn't warp. 140-pound paper is a pretty good thickness, but it still could warp because I used a lot of water. I am going to use the coordinating die cut to cut those out on my off screen on my Gemini Junior. And like I said, I don't end up using those two, but so those are the two that I did today. And you can see the dots I added on the other ones. And this is the little girl I'm going to use for the final card. So I've got a piece of cardstock I'm going to use to blend some ink on the background. And I've got some Tsukineko masking paper. And I have a stencil that's specifically for, it's the, I think it might be My Favorite Things or Simon Says Stamp. It's the clouds like all around it, and you can use it, you know, for cloud shapes and stuff. And I cannot find it anywhere since we moved to this new to this new house in my new craft space. It's probably packed away somewhere. So I just improvised by using some punches and this masking paper. And I'm going to then blend the back, and I'll pull the clouds up just for a little bit of variance. And I am not, the good thing about this masking paper is it really, it sticks down really well, and then you can also, you know, move it and use it again. I've used, you know, multiple ones over and just stuck it on something on the side and then come back and used it. So I apologize. This is mostly off screen for a lot of this blending. I've got, what color is that? Tumbled Glass, I believe, and Stormy Sky. Yeah, and these are both oxides. And I'm using my picket fence brushes to blend them. So I just put a light layer of that Tumbled Glass down, and now I'm going to use the Stormy Sky and just kind of cover up those clouds. I mean, I wanted a little bit of definition behind it, but I didn't want it to be too dark. I mean, too light, since she's supposed to be standing in the rain. And as you can see, I used the paper to keep my fingerprints off of it, and then I got a nice little line there in the blending, and I try to blend it out, and it doesn't really work. But it's okay. I'm going to pretend like it's a horizon line or something. I don't think it's that noticeable. Then I use this is the Chip Sapphire, which is one of my favorite colors, and it just go over it with you know, a little bit darker. I do kind of keep trying to blend out again with the Tumbled Glass because I wasn't really happy with my blending. I feel like I'm an impatient blender these days, and I just so I felt like this was kind of splotchy. Some of the other ones I did turned out better, but not this one. So anyway, that's the way it is. You can see that line. That's okay. And now what I'm going to do is try to figure out where I'm going to put the sentiment. And I need to make sure that all that distress ink is really dry because I'm going to heat emboss directly onto that piece there. So once I think it's dry, I'm going to get the sentiments out and try to line them up. And I'm going to do the We Will Weather This Storm Together. And so I'm going to do the top We Will Weather in the top left corner and the This Storm Together in the bottom right hand corner. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to place those. And then I will move the little girl and heat emboss that. I just recently got it's a sort of collaborative mini MISTI with Hero Arts, and it is so cute. It's the tiny one, and it's I mean, I think it's just perfect for like 4x, you know, 4.5 A2 cards, and it's a little bit bigger maybe, and it's black, and it's perfect for like this kind of stuff and for traveling with. So you can see I used some powder tool, my powder brush there to make sure I had no static, and I used Versamark ink, and then I'm using a Hero Arts, I believe it's the Fine Detail Platinum. It's not silver, so it's a little bit softer color. And the whole time I was doing that, I was letting my heat gun warm up, which is, I think, the key, because it just heats it up so fast, and I just barely touch the front and do more of it on the back. And now I'm going to take a couple Copic markers, I believe it's like C1 and C0, and just give her a little bit of ground to stand on so she's not floating up in the air. And then I'm going to glue her down with some liquid adhesive from Nuvo. Because it is heavier watercolor paper, liquid adhesive is better to kind of make sure you grab all those, ripples and edges in the paper. And I just put a little weight on that. All right, now I'm going to add some of the little raindrops with the oxide weathered wood. And I thought about heat embossing those and maybe clear, but I got a little bit lazy in the end. So that's the way it turned out. I'm going to cover the back with some dimensional tape and pop it on my card base, and that is the way she turned out. You can see the stills here in the close-ups. I'm really happy with the way this turned out, and like I said, I think the message is what's really important. So thank you so much for watching and sticking around. If you did stick around for all the coloring, I will have a complete list of all of the products that I used at the end of or in the description. And if anybody has any comments or questions, I would love to answer them, and I would love for you to be a subscriber if you're not. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy, and we'll get through this together. Have a good day. Bye.